We're back with another episode. Episode 10, 11. You just lose track at some point.
We're back.
What a weekend. What a week. What a week of fights in the MMA world, combat sports world, in everything. It's, as you can see behind me, we got some new background pieces. We enjoyed ourselves this week. RJ, there's a lot to cover. How we feeling?
Feeling good. Crazy fights. Two pretty epic, arguably the two biggest promotions doing the damn thing. We could start, if you want to start with one, because it did happen on Friday. Let me just say, man, they're killing it. Like, I've watched one cards before, but I don't know if they did anything extra because it was like their first time in the States. They obviously stacked their card top to bottom. I love the fact that they're doing grappling matches. I love the fact that they're doing the Muay Thai matches with 4-ounce gloves. I love the fact that they're throwing the MMA in there. It really brings it like, it just kind of keeps it fresh. And it's like every few minutes you're like watching something different, but it's all very high level. Love the walkouts. It's very like old school Pride. Like, they kind of come through the curtain and then they, there's like lights and there's like a whole video playing behind them. It's very like WWE almost. And by the time they get down there, I just thought they did a great job, overall. Very exciting fights. You had Sage Northcutt return. He got a quick submission finish. Stamp Fairtex, that girl's a lot of fun to watch. She got the finish. Ty Rotolo, that match was all over the place and wild and fun to watch. Who else? Tang got the knockout again in his Muay Thai championship. He kept his belt. And then DJ, right? DJ got the win. That fight to me looked like it was two guys who had both knocked each other out. So they were both kind of, I'm going to kill my dog because he keeps messing up the fucking camera. It was two guys who had already knocked each other out, right? So they were both kind of like, you could tell nobody wanted to get knocked out in the third. It was a lot of like pressing up against the fence. But I got it. George, dude, I'm going to fuck him up. Get out of here. Go. And I got to say, I like how they score the fights in one, because it's not the 10-9 must. It's not round by round. It's like whoever wins the fight wins the fight. I kind of love that. I love that. Because, in another organization, DJ might have lost that fight because he was getting pushed up against the fence. But it's like he was trying to do the damage when they were separated. The fight, it wasn't a boring fight, but it wasn't the most exciting fight. Overall, happy DJ won. Happy for everybody who won. It was all very exciting. I should have bet money on that card because if I had parlayed, I had them all. If I parlayed that whole thing, I would have probably made a lot of money. But the production, I'm stoked. One is killing it, man. Very, very happy with their product.
Yeah, they're doing their thing. Made it to the U.S. for the first time, and truth be told, I was not able to watch the card. I know you were texting me or asking if you were watching it. I was up in Newark for the UFC event, like all that stuff going on. So I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I saw all the news on it. You were keeping me updated. And like you said about the multiple different combat sports, the grappling, the MMA, the kickboxing, Thai, I'm a huge fan of that. I love the variety they put out, and it gives a unique feel that other organizations are just not doing. And I fully support it. I love what they're doing. You said the production is doing phenomenal things. From what I saw, it looked great. So, great fights as well. You mentioned DJ got the win. Sage Northcutt in his return got the win. Ty Rotolo got the win. Rod Tang got the knockout. Won championship, doing their thing, making a name for themselves in the States. I don't know. They'll probably do more in the States after. I'm assuming that was a really successful weekend for them. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it felt like a home run. And this is the thing, it's on Amazon Prime. It's not as if it's on it's not like a pay-per-view where like half the people watching it are streaming it illegally. You got like a lot of people have Amazon. Anybody who tuned in on Amazon, it's available to a lot of people. And I would bet a lot of people watched it. And if they didn't watch it, they're going to hear about how cool it was, and they're probably going to watch it next time. It was definitely a very fun, entertaining fight club.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to One Championship, really making strides. I'm excited. They're going to be on the up and up. I'm excited to see what they do next in the States, because I'm assuming it'll be another huge pay-per-view, or, well, not pay-per-view, but huge event.
Right.
For whatever they choose. So shout out One Championship again, and shout out everyone that got the dub. Well, how about DJ? You think he retires after this, or you think he comes back for one more? I know they set up that face-off in the cage with that contender, but
yeah, if I was a betting man, and I am, I don't think he's done. I think he doesn't need to fight anymore. But I also think he's a competitor. He's an athlete, and he's, I mean, this is the thing. I feel like it's almost like the John Jones thing. It's like, I can come in here and just like win more fights, but like, I feel like he wants to be excited about something new. He had mentioned trying to get his black belt and becoming a world champion in jiu-jitsu, right? Like, I think he just wants to do some other stuff, but I would almost guarantee you if they said, hey, look, this guy's really, really good. It's an interesting challenge. We're going to give you a boatload of money to come fight him. I'm sure he would do it.
he's just a fighter, I think, and he enjoys fighting. He enjoys everything he does because he's the best. So how can you not enjoy it when you're winning, you're beating everybody? But I think it's going to come to a point where he's just not going to feel excited to get up and train at some point. He's going to turn to his kids. He has kids now. He's a family man. And I think one day he's going to turn to that and put all eyes on his children and his family. But until then, we might see some more fights out of him.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet he's got a couple more line, just in the belly. You know what I mean? I feel like it's, obviously I haven't fought at the highest level for 15 years the way that DJ has, but I know as like a competitor, it's like the older you get, you almost like don't want to just accept the fact that like your window is closing. This guy's a lifelong competitor and he's a champion, like through and through. Like this guy only knows pushing himself to be the best in the world at something. So it's hard to turn that off. And I can't imagine he's just gonna say goodbye, just like that and walk away. There's only a few people in the world who have ever been able to do that.
Yeah, and I hope it doesn't turn into one of these things where he extends his stay too long. I think you were just talking about that. I kind of just blanked out, to be honest, so it would kind of blur it up, but on my train of thought, I was thinking, I just hope he doesn't turn into one of these legends that has to get knocked out a few times before he realizes. I hope, he hangs it up at the right time.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be that guy either. I think he's smart enough to realize when he doesn't have it left, like enough left to compete at the highest level. But, in the last interview I watched with him, it seems like he's still having fun training. He still loves the game. And he just, this is the other thing. With one coming to the States now, that's a big deal because now he doesn't have to fly to Asia every time he's got to go to work, right? He lives in Washington and he was just in Colorado. I'm sure if there's more things like that for him to do, I'm sure he would be more than happy to do it. And I really don't see him sticking around too long. He's too smart for that. Once he feels like his edge is slipping, I'm sure he'll call it a career and I mean, the guy's got nothing left to prove.
One of the greatest careers of all time in mixed martial arts. So whenever he decides to make that call, we're going to appreciate what he did. And DJ's one of my favorites of all time. He's in my GOAT lists. He's 1A, 1B with John Jones. Nonetheless, shout out Demetrius Johnson and shout out One Championship again for the great event they put on in the States. Another great event that happened in the States, right around the block from us.
Let's go.
Newark, New Jersey put on UFC 288 this weekend with the main event being Henry Cejudo coming off a 3-year layoff versus Aljamain Sterling. Bantamweights going at it. Probably the deepest division in the UFC right now. And Henry Cejudo tried to come back and make a statement, but fell just a little short. And we'll get into that. We'll get into the main event, but let's start with this card. We talked about Drew Dober and the steamroller Frivola.
Wow.
Frivola, man, has cracked the code of Drew Dober's titanium chin. I'll eat my words because I'd pick Dober.
Yeah, look, man. Matt Frivola, he starts off like a banshee. He's just in your face and throwing everything at you. It seems like Dober never really got, he never really just like got to settle into the fight at all. You know, he got cracked and dropped. This was the one thing that kind of stood out in this fight, right? It was the immediate protest of Drew Dober after the finish, right? And when I first watched it, I was like, nah, good finish.
Yeah.
I watched it back in slow motion. I can see why he protested, right? There's no question about it. He got rocked. When you get dropped, your face is all bloody, and then somebody sits over you and starts doing their King Kong, it's just not a good visual. The referee's got to be forced to stop it unless you're like actively getting back up or trying to cover up. To his defense, Frivola's last couple strikes seemed like they missed. None of them were very damaging, and he definitely had his consciousness about it. So I can understand why he was upset. But dude, he got dropped. Frivola jumped all over it. He made it look, he did his job. He did a really good job. And I want to say, on record, I took Dober. Off the record, I'm ashamed of myself for not taking the East Coast boys. I really am, man. Matt Frivola trains, less than an hour drive away from here. He's sort of one of our local guys. He's from a great camp that's had a ton of great champions, and like, I feel like a sucker for not picking, the East Coast guys, on record at least. I kind of went back on it, but we won't talk about that. But
I'll back you up. Before the fight, I think it was Friday, he officially changed his pick, and you said you wanted to take Frivola, but on the record, everybody still thinks you took Dober.
Yeah, it's all good. Look, I'll own it. I'll own it. But look, Frivola looked amazing, dude. And Dober, it's not like Dober took the night off. He looked like he was getting in there, but before he could really get settled, he just got clipped and it finished, man. I love the Paddy Pimblett call out by Frivola. I think that's a good fight for him. Paddy's not ranked. He's not ranked. It's probably the biggest.
Frivola will be ranked now,
I guess, probably 15 or 14, right? So,
yeah.
I think it's just, it's a fight that makes sense. You're trying to make a splash in that division. You got to have a guy with eyeballs on him, somebody like Paddy Pimblett. And I love it. Good for...
Great call out, great post-fight interview. He did his thing on the mic, and he did his thing in the cage. I can't believe he cracked the code of Drew Dober's chin. His chin looked unbreakable before this, and it was more of a flash knockdown, but nonetheless, he put him down and got the finish, did what he had to do.
That right hand just came all the way from Strong Island and cracked
I think
Dober.
He called it, What did he call it? I think he called it the F-bomb.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
great. Great name for that.
You should have called it the F train. That's like a New York thing, right? The F train, whatever. But
Yeah, well, either way, both great names.
absolutely spectacular, and good for him. I'm happy for him, and I hope he sees this. I'm ashamed of myself for not standing with him right from the gate, because we got to support our guys.
Yeah, Strong Island, but great featured prelim to get us going before the main card. And unfortunately, this first fight on the main card was a little strange and a little weird. Kron Gracie making his return against Charles Jourdain. Charles Jourdain fought to a T. The game plan that was implemented with him did not stray from it, was very disciplined, and got the win against Kron Gracie, who just didn't have much to offer.
Yeah, look, I mean, Jourdain, first of all, props where it's due. Jourdain looked fantastic. His hand speed, his accuracy, his awareness inside the guard of Kron Gracie, like he did everything right. He did everything that he needed to do, and he passed, I guess you would call it a test with flying colors. Now we have to look at Kron. I'm almost like I'm like shocked. I'm a little like, I'm almost like salty about it.
I got a sour taste in my mouth as well, and I'll explain later, but you keep going.
It's just like, it's like, okay, look, I know you're like a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. You're like representing jiu-jitsu guys as a whole, and you kind of made us look like chumps. Like, this can't be your game plan in 2023. That's the game plan of a 1993 fighter. You can't, like, okay, let me back up really quick too, right? He just took 3-4 years off. So after that fight with Cub Swanson, which he looked pretty good at, Kron looked pretty good in that Cub Swanson fight. It's his first loss, but he took some time off. We spoke about it leading up to this fight. I was hoping he spent the last 4 years working on his striking, or at the very least, work on your wrestling and your entries so you could force the fight into the position that you're really good at. But it seemed like Kron Gracie wanted no part of this fight, and to pull guard in, like, this is your opportunity, bro. Like, this is where, like, you get back in the mix, and to jump guard multiple times against a guy like Jourdain, who's a black belt. It's not like, it just seemed like he wanted it to be like, if this was in 1993 and there was no time limit and you're just going to like play this game until eventually you get a submission, bro. Yeah. Okay. Maybe, but it's not, bro. If you're on the bottom, you're losing. Like, that has to be your attitude. And I mean, he's the son of an all-time great fighter. He's part of a good camp. How does he not know that, like, you can't pull guard in a 15-minute fight, bro? Like, you have to get on top. You have to at least set your takedowns up with some strikes, bro. It looked like he wanted no part of it. It just wasn't a good look. It just was a bad look for jiu-jitsu fighters, for the Gracie name. I mean, I think we all just expected so much more from Kron, especially after the long layoff. It's like, I just had so much bigger hopes, and I feel like he let us all down.
Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. I had a sour taste in my mouth leading into the fight with Kron Gracie. And before I get into it, I don't want to come off as like a ultra hater just shitting on Kron Gracie, because I love him. He's a great jiu-jitsu fighter, one of the sons of the greatest. Like, I love Kron Gracie, and I was so excited for his comeback. But I watch all the embeddeds, I watch all of the things leading up to the fight. And that whole week, I was just getting a sour taste in my mouth. Every time we saw Kron Gracie on camera, it just, something was off with his either mindset or like his vibe, but he just seemed like he was angry. He was in a bad mood all the time. And we don't know what that could be. Like that could be external, something going on outside. Who knows? But I was just getting a bad vibe all week with the embeddeds and all the behind the scenes work. Got into an altercation with Henry Cejudo on the poster signings. Just a whole lot of stuff going on that didn't sit well with me. And to go out there and to put on a performance like that, get 30-27, just not a good look after a 3-year, 4-year layoff. It didn't look like he worked on his striking at all. It looked like he kind of just rolled in jiu-jitsu.
Dude, it looked like it got worse.
It really did. I think we were in the third round when they pulled up the stats. I think at that point in the third, Charles Jourdain had landed more than Kron has thrown. And you're just never going to win a fight like the way he implemented his game plan. I don't know if that was the game plan or if he thought he was just going to walk at Charles Jourdain and grab him, but obviously Charles isn't going to let that happen, and he didn't. Charles Jourdain is a black belt, like we said. He knows what he's doing on the ground. So they implemented a game plan that if it went to the ground, he wasn't going to leave any openings and he was going to get up when he can get up. And that's exactly what he did. I got nothing really left. It was just kind of disappointing for Kron Gracie to do that after 3 years, but nonetheless, phenomenal game plan, phenomenal execution by Charles Jourdain. Put himself on the map and he moves forward now. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I think it is important to point out how good Jourdain really performed, because we could all say like Kron didn't show up and Kron had a terrible game plan. All that aside, Jourdain had a great game plan and did exactly what he was supposed to do and made Kron look that bad. Kron had a piece of it himself, but Jourdain did everything right. So we don't want to take anything away from him. He looked amazing. And to get a win over a big name like a Gracie name is a huge deal. Kron, on the other hand, I can imagine the pressure being Rickson's son. I can imagine. That's one, for anyone who doesn't know, Rickson's one of the greatest fighters to ever live, period. Like, no rules, any type of rule set you wanted to go with, whether it's wrestling, jiu-jitsu, judo, MMA, no holds barred, like whatever you want to do, throw Rickson in there and he's probably going to win. That guy's one of the best fighters in the world, so being his kid has to come with a lot of pressure. However, it's 2023, dog. If you don't know, like, being on the bottom and trying, hopefully getting a submission, like, that ain't the way, bro. And if that's how you're going to fight, you might as well hang it up, straight up. Like, and again, like you said, I love Kron. I followed his jiu-jitsu career. I followed his early MMA career. We were all high on him. We wanted him to win this fight. We both picked him to win this fight. And if you're going to come out and fight like that, I don't want to see you get beat up, bro. Like, I don't want to see it. So, like, if you're not in it to be like a fight, throw hands, throw kicks, wrestle, fight the takedowns, like, try to get on top. If you're not doing all of that, it go back to jiu-jitsu. I'm sorry, but like, you can't. It's disappointing, bro. I don't know how else to put it. Like,
there's no other way to put it. I mean, if you're not gonna fight, go to jiu-jitsu. And I'm not trying to be mean about it, but like you said, you have to play to the rule set. And the rule set in 2023 mixed martial arts is not pulling guard. It's just not. So either re-game plan or just do jiu-jitsu and be a world champion jiu-jitsu fighter. That's fine. But we'll cut it off here. You know, it's fun. Like, things happen. It's the way the world went. Shout out to Charles Jourdain for a phenomenal performance. Really put himself on the map. Excited to see him move forward, and we'll see what happens with Kron Gracie. But that's, we kind of bashed into Kron Gracie a little bit. And
look,
that's not what I was trying to do.
Me neither. I'm still a fan.
Absolutely.
Still a fan, bro. Like, I'll shake his hand. I give him a hug. Like, he's still a legend for real. But moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah.
This next fight really was kind of a no-name fight that people weren't expecting much from. Turned out to be a banger. Movsar Evlaev versus Diego Lopes. Diego Lopes coming in on 3 or 2 days notice for his UFC debut against a number 10 ranked featherweight in Movsar Evlaev. Talk about a tall order, and his stock is through the roof in my eyes. He may have lost the fight, but he just went out there, and I was all eyes on Diego Lopes. What a fight. What a fight.
Yeah. And what a turn of events that led to it, right? So first it was Bryce Mitchell had somebody else, and then Evlaev came in because Bryce's guy fell out, and then Bryce fell out. So Lopes or Lopez, is it Lopes? Lopez?
I heard Lopes all night.
Lopes came in, so that's why it felt like one of those, like, who the hell? It's like this fight was kind of thrown together just to save the spot on the card. Evlaev, is that how you say it?
I think it's Evlaev.
Evlaev's ranked. You know, he is number 10, but he's not like the biggest name in the division. It would have been a tough fight for Bryce Mitchell, I think, even though I picked it for Bryce. But this Lopes kid, besides the fucking worst hairdo I've ever seen in my life, you know, he looked like every high school emo girl that I went to school with 15 years ago. But besides the haircut, dude, this kid looked so good. All right, he comes out, bop, bop, bop. He's looking real sharp on the feet, really sharp, like almost dropped him, dropped Evlaev, like was looking so sharp. Comes out in the second, looks like maybe he went a little bit hard in the paint and kind of lost some of his energy and some of his snap. Looked like he started getting dominated on the ground. Then he's throwing up submission after submission after submission. I'm telling you right now, Evlaev, his shoulder, his elbow, his knee, they're all jacked today. I'm telling you, he's not wiping his own ass today. I'm telling you that right now. Like, this dude was caught in some deep submissions. And props to him for getting out of them and not tapping and winning the fight. But this Lopes cat, man, he looked like he had good striking. He looked like he had phenomenal jiu-jitsu. Definitely had the heart to, like, kind of get beat up and stay in the fight and look for the finish. You could tell there's a reason why this guy has so many finishes on his record. He's looking constantly for the finish. I've even heard some people argue that he should have won because of how determined for the finish he was. Like, if somebody's on the bottom, but they are almost getting you out of there, that's got to count for something. Like, that's a big deal. But he lost the fight. He looked incredible. Props to Evlaev for, like, you know, he still won the fight. So, but it did seem like Lopes kind of stole the show, man. Like, he came in 2 days notice and made a splash like that against a top 10 guy. This guy's going to be a big deal. Dana White gave him his win money. He gave him his show and his win. That's how much Dana loves the guy. He's like, dude, you not only saved the fourth spot down on my main card of a pay-per-view, but, like, you came in and you didn't even matter if you won or lost. Like, you fought with everything. Dana loves those kind of cats. The fans, love those kind of cats. I can't wait to see that guy fight again.
Like, that's how you left that fight, is like, we need this guy back on a pay-per-view card, like, right now. Like, let's get him going. For a UFC debut to come out against a top 10 guy like that, like, I'm just reliving the fight in my head, and it gets me so excited because that arm bar was crazy, triangle was crazy, knee bar was crazy. Like,
the Kimura was crazy.
This guy, I don't know if he's a kid, he's a guy. He has a lengthy record for a UFC debut. He's 21-6. So he has a long pro career outside of the UFC. My goodness, I cannot wait to see him on the next time he fights. I'm circling his name and I'm watching.
Yeah.
And outside of the jiu-jitsu, his hands were on fire.
Yeah.
He rocked Evlaev a few times, got him going. I can't speak highly enough of how happy I am for Lopes to do that on 2 days' notice.
He looked very sharp. It only when he started getting, like, it seemed a little bit gassed out, it might, the energy of the moment might have gotten to him a little bit. And when he didn't get Evlaev out of there fast enough, like, he kind of had a little bit of an adrenaline dump. But he stayed in the fight, looking for the finish the whole time. I'm telling you what, not only do I hope he comes back soon, but I hope they give him somebody ranked when he comes back, because he deserves it.
Absolutely.
He deserves it. I want to see this guy get up there and fight the top guys, because he's right. Yeah, clearly he's a problem.
He has no business fighting a non-ranked opponent after almost taking the O against an undefeated Russian fighter like that.
Number 10 undefeated guy.
He needs another ranked opponent, and he should not settle for less. He just put himself on the map for featherweights to look out for.
Yeah, agreed.
My goodness, shout out Diego Lopes. Like, I get excited. I'm getting excited just talking about it because of how cool that was to see. And, like, it doesn't even feel like he lost because of how much he did in that 15 minutes. What a second fight on the card. I don't think the fans were expecting much. I truly wasn't expecting a whole lot compared to what we got, at least. But that fight kind of stole the show a little bit.
I believe it got fight of the night.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it did. I saw
well deserved.
Yeah, I think Yan Xiaonan got performance. Maybe Matt Frivola got performance.
Probably.
And then and that was the fight of the night.
Yeah. What a fight. What a debut. Shout out to Evlaev for getting the win, obviously, but that was a dangerous fight for him, being ranked 10, fighting an underranked opponent. So shout out to him for doing that. And excited for both of their careers because they're both prospects.
Yeah.
Moving on. I don't really want to move on. I just want to keep talking about that fight, to be honest. But we'll move on to some women's MMA. Jessica Andrade, who fights everybody in the world. She does not care. She will fight anybody. Goes up against Yan Xiaonan. And I want to say I picked Yan Xiaonan to win, I think. I want to say I did. I felt highly of her.
I think I picked Andrade.
Yeah, I think we differed on that one. And Yan Xiaonan got the knockout win. Not very controversial. She put Andrade down and finished the fight. So no controversy. Very clean knockout in the first round. She looked good.
Yeah, look, Andrade does that, like, old school Brazilian, like, she'll just blitz forward and throw like 6 or 7 hooks, follow it with a kick, and like try to just close distance and like create carnage, right? That's like just that old school shuto box style. Come forward, throw a bunch of hooks. Yan Xiaonan sat on a right cross and just met her as Andrade was coming in, and that was it, bro. And like, I mean, I don't know how often we see Andrade get stopped, period. So that's a statement. You know what I mean? Like, that's a former champion. Like you said, Andrade fights everybody. She fights often. She's always fighting. I mean, I'm extremely impressed with Yan Xiaonan. Like, I thought she looked incredible. And she seems like obviously we don't speak the same language fully, but like she seemed like a fun person. Like, you want to like see her win. She looked like a happy, fun, like interesting person. You know what I mean? And it just sets up a very interesting super fight. For the first time, I think, ever in the UFC, we would have 2 Chinese ladies fighting for a belt. That would be absolutely enormous for the sport. I mean, there's 1 billion Chinese people in the world. I'm sure they would love to tune in and watch. two of their very best fighting in the biggest organization in the world. Sets it up. It's a lot of fun, man. I'm very impressed with Yan Xiaonan. That's it.
Yeah, that's an interesting fight if she gets that with Wei Li, right?
Well,
that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm before I sounded like an idiot. But that fight with Wei Li would be very interesting because they're both kind of very physically strong, very gifted in the department of like skills. Skill for skill, I don't know who I'd pick in that one just because they both look good. I think Wei Li would have the grappling advantage, but Yan Xiaonan might have the striking advantage, and it would be an interesting fight. And after that performance, I would love to see it.
Love to see it. I mean, she put herself on the map. She looked pretty big for the weight class. I'd be interested to see them face off just so I could size them up next to each other. I think you're right. I think as of now, from what we've seen, it seems like Weili would have the grappling advantage, but also maybe we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. She didn't spend a whole lot of time on the ground against Mackenzie, right? She just beat Andrade, who's like the smaller, more compact. It's like, maybe she's not really given these girls that look to be taken down, or it never gets there to begin with. So it's like, I wonder how she would do on the ground. I feel like we don't know enough about her ground game yet. She comes from a great camp. She's training at Team Alpha Male with Uriah Faber. The grappling in that room is, top notch,
elite.
like very elite. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting fight. I would love to see it. And right now for Wei Li, it's like, what's really there? Is one of those divisions that sort of has settled after a bit of chaos for a while. You had it being passed, the belt been passed between the same four girls back and forth over and over again for the last 5 years. So it's like, we need some fresh meat up there. And
right.
It definitely makes for an exciting storyline.
Yeah, Go ahead.
There's a lot of Chinese fighters in the UFC now, and I mean, you could make a very, very compelling China card. You could do it. You know what I mean? Let's think that there's obviously there's Weili, there's this girl Yan Xiaonan, there's the Leech. What's his name? Jing Liang.
Yeah.
There's the other Uriah Faber's kid. He just fought.
Oh, man.
He's so good. Yeah, it's hard, the names, but there's 5 or 6 extremely talented Chinese fighters now. So it's like, that's the card right there. Just put them all on it. Go to China, do a card. Oh man, it would be awesome.
That'd be really cool. It would be a first, I think, in China, and
I think so.
Do it. I'm on board.
Is it Du Ho Choi? Oh no, that's the
Choi.
No, he's Korean. He's Korean.
Oh yeah, we're mixing it up now.
I know, I'm messing it up, but there's another one. I'm pretty sure he's one of Uriah Faber's guys. He just fought. Can't think of his name.
It's not ringing a bell for me.
Doesn't matter.
It
doesn't matter.
He's good. We know he's good.
There's a lot of great Chinese fighters out there. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah. So
somebody in the comments tell me who it was.
Somebody will get it. Someone has it, or we'll find it after.
They'll be like, stupid, casual. You don't even know. I can't wait.
But Yan Xiaonan getting a performance like that against Jessica Andrade is huge for her career. Might give her a title shot next. We don't know, but I'm on board with the Yan Xiaonan train. She looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see where she goes. I'm sure Jessica Andrade will be back soon. She always fights, and she'll be back. But great women's MMA fight on this card, and great performance.
Yeah.
Which leads us into our co-main event of the evening. Pretty disappointing turn of events. but that's the fight game, and things happen in the cage where you can't control it.
Yeah, look, I mean, first of all, and a lot, we sort of mentioned this, right? Gilbert's been in camp for the last like 7 months straight. He
Yep.
has not given his body any time to rest. And when you're in your 30s and you're training like that and you're fighting all the time, dude, your body needs to rest. And look, he went for that takedown in the first round, landed funny on his shoulder. I watched it like a bunch of times at this point. I think that was definitely the moment. He went for this takedown. He slammed down both of their body weights, just boom, on his shoulder. He literally was one-handed for the rest of the night. I mean, look, hats off to Gilbert Burns. He basically fought what we all thought was the number one contender with one arm. So that just proves the heart that this guy has, right? Then you got Bilal, who, again, we all said he was the guy. He came in, he looked fantastic. I mean, people calling him like, remember the decision, Muhammad and shit. Like, first of all, he just stopped Sean Brady not that long ago. So, like, you know, the guy has the capability of doing it. He's just fighting really good fighters. Bilal took the fight on short notice, man. And he came in and basically
50-45.
Yeah,
Gilbert Burns.
yeah, dude. He took that fight all the way home. You know, obviously Gilbert was hurt, and it kind of sucks to see Gilbert lose like that. But it's the fight game, bro, and you never let yourself rest. So, like, kind of, what do you expect? It's bound, just type of shit's bound to happen to you if you don't treat yourself right.
It really sucks. It sucks for Bilal that now people are going to use that as an excuse for another win that he puts in his win column.
Sure.
Gilbert Burns was hurt. Well, he got hurt in the fight. It's not like he was hurt outside before the fight and still fought with it. He got hurt in the fight, and it's a fight. You're gonna get hurt sometimes, and it's just unfortunate turn of events. But Bilal did what he had to do, got the win. Beat Gilbert Burns, who looked pretty much unbeatable this year, just of how good he was looking. I sucks for Gilbert Burns too. I hope it's nothing too serious. When he went down,
I think it's torn. I think it's torn.
Really? The last thing I saw was he was going to get it checked out and he would get the results. But the first thing that went in my head was the fall that he took is the same fall that I took when I broke my collarbone. And that's the only thing I was seeing in my head. I'm like, please don't be a broken collarbone. That would really suck. And I'm really hoping he's all right.
How long were you out with that?
Luckily, a broken bone is, well, at least mine was like 3 or 4 months until I was fully healed. I got the surgery, and it was 3-4 months. I was good to go. But it just sucks depending on what they have to do if that's the case. But hopefully it's, just something minor. He can rehab it and no surgery. Let's get it back going. And I want to see Gilbert Burns back healthy. We'll give him time off too.
Yeah, look, like sometimes, and we were even talking to our boy Jakar about this. Sometimes when you're so fast in your life and you want to go to the next thing, go to the next thing, go to the next thing, up to the top, to the top, to the top. Life, God, whatever you want to call it, bro, is going to be like, you need to chill out for a minute. And this might have been that thing. You know what I mean? It's like the guy was going a million miles an hour. He kept saying he was only going to fight for the title. Actually, I'll fight next week. Okay, now you're going to fight next week. It's like, dude, you need to like take it easy right now. And not for nothing, like I picked Burns. I love Burns. I wanted Burns to win. We were kind of laughing about it as we were watching it. It's like we were all like on Team Bilal until he got matched up with Gilbert Burns, and then we were like, Burns has got to win. It's like we were all on Bilal until that matchup came. But at the end of the day, I think this is what was right. Bilal deserves the title shot.
Absolutely.
Gilbert Burns had the title shot. He's definitely obviously as good enough to get another one. But in this division Kamaru had held the belt for so long, and now it's like we're finally getting some parity. Let Bilal do his thing, man. He's earned it. So I think this is what is right. I think Burns needs to go rest for a few months, get him a fight at the end of the year. He's still there. He's still at the top of the division. I'm sure there's still fights for him. Maybe he fights the loser of Colby and Leon. You know what I mean? It's like there's always options.
Yeah.
But you obviously, when people go too hard like that, it's like, dude, your body can only take so much. And the way that Gilbert Burns fights,
Yes. Yeah.
surprised he made it this far, man.
Yeah. You benched it. We were on board with Bilal getting the title shot before this whole Gilbert Burns situation. And then I got a bone to pick with Bilal Muhammad.
Yeah.
Good grief, man. You're going to come at New Jersey like that, and you're in Newark, New Jersey, saying F New Jersey and all this nonsense. I took that to heart. All the New Jersey natives took that to heart, and you became one of the most hated people in New Jersey. So,
them's fighting words.
Was not happy about that, but hopefully that was just a gimmick, and hopefully he didn't mean it, because I would not appreciate it. Just have to stand up for New Jersey right now.
Of course.
But yeah, that's a bone to pick with Bilal Muhammad. If I could talk to him, I would find out if he was being genuine or if it was a gimmick. I'll give him benefit of the doubt, and it was a gimmick that he was putting on. But nonetheless, had to bring that up.
Yeah, I feel you. That is, them's fighting words, brother. Especially when you're in Newark of all places, bro. It's like, don't say that shit to the wrong person. Go outside, your car will be unblocked, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bold statement right there in Newark to say that. But nonetheless, Bilal Muhammad gets the win over Gilbert Burns very decisively. He's next after Leon versus Colby. Either of those matchups, Leon Edwards, Bilal ended no contest, so that'd be good to get some closure on that fight, see a true winner. And then Bilal and Colby, that'd be an interesting matchup. I'd be excited to see how that favors. They both have cardio tanks. Bilal is a bit unorthodox, and Colby's obviously going to bring the wrestling and the pressure. It's a good matchup. I like it. I'm excited.
Yeah, I like both of those matchups for sure. Like you said, we already would love to get some closure on the first chapter. And then the new matchup with Colby. I love them both. I have to mention this too. I can't believe I didn't think of this until right now, but like, can we talk about how good Bilal is at taking his opponent out of their game plan? Like, when you saw him fight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he was heavy wrestling, heavy ground and pound. The grappling was just a clinic, right? Kept him out of there. When he went against Sean Brady, it's like anti-wrestling, all boxing, heavy pressure, right? Took Brady out of his element. Then you get him against Burns, and he stayed in that kick range the whole night. It's like Bilal is actually really, really good and very smart. Like, he's got a crazy IQ because he's able to take these fighters out of the area that they're good at and forcing them to fight his style fight. So I'm really interested to see, especially more so a little bit in the Colby fight, because Colby forces a very particular set of skills on you. And I'm curious to see how Bilal would answer that and how Colby would answer to Bilal's answer. Like, I think that would just make for a really interesting fight. And again, with Leon, I thought Leon was winning that fight. And, he kicked him in the head and had him pretty hurt. And, whatever happened. Bilal's definitely got better since then. So I'm watching. Whatever it is, I'm gonna watch. I'm watching, bro. And I think Bilal's definitely, hopefully, even though it was unfortunate circumstances for Gilbert, I hope Bilal got some respect that he deserves this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he deserves the respect. He's the number one contender, no questions asked. He's next in line. We're finally getting the welterweight division is kind of coming together. We did a video not too long ago about how chaotic and unsure this division was, and now we're starting to kind of get some answers, and I'm happy about that. We're getting some answers. We're getting some definite matchups and definite number one contenders. So that's what I'm happy about in this division. I'm happy for Bilal to get the win, get the number one contender spot. Yeah, let's get this going. Let's get Leon Colby announced because it's still not done. So we need that first before we can move forward. But
True.
again, shout out to Bilal Muhammad. Quick recovery for Gilbert Burns, whatever that injury may be. Both of them great fighters, great co-main. Moving on to the main. Bantamweights, man. What a division this is.
Yeah.
And we have Henry Cejudo making his comeback after 3 years off, trying to do a John Jones, trying to make it a 3-year layoff look like nothing. But unfortunately, someone had something to say about that and took to it. Aljamain Sterling got the win, split decision. Close fight, man. We were scoring it during the fight, and I had no idea who was winning. Like, I was trying to guess what I think the rounds would be. I just had no idea. The wrestling was crazy.
Yeah, look, like, the only ones I was even, like, more than 50% sure on were, like, the first two. And I did give them both to Aljo. Aljo came out of that gate really fast, especially at least the first. I can't even say both. The first I definitely gave to Aljo. The rest of them were like weird because one person would be like looking good, and then the last minute they would get the takedown and score some heavy shots, and it was back and forth. It's so close. Like, anybody who's like, "Oh, this is crazy," it's like, dude, it was such a close fight though. Like, it was so close. And
a close fight is not a robbery, just PSA. A close fight is not a robbery.
Exactly.
Just had to point that out.
Like, no matter who won, it was a close fight, man. Like, I wouldn't have been really surprised either way. I did have Aljo winning after watching it live. I was like, Aljo probably did enough. I think he hit like probably twice as many strikes. None of them were like super, super damaging, but he kept his foot on it. There was some stuff I liked that he did and some stuff I didn't like that he did. But, that's for his coaches to watch. He's got this weird unorthodox style, right? And a couple times he would roll and then literally like turn around. And I thought Cejudo was going to get the read, and I thought it was going to look like Holly Holm Ronda Rousey. That's almost what it looked like. He was literally like turned away, and I just seen the head kick coming up, and I was like, oh man, this might be bad. The head kick never came. But look, what he did do great is he fucking wrestled with Henry Cejudo. This is my thoughts on it, right? Henry Cejudo, Olympic gold medalist. We hear about it 15 times per every interview. But check it out. You were the Olympic gold medalist when you were 21, dog. You're 36. Like, you get to have that title, Olympic gold medalist, for the rest of your life. You've earned that. But today, you're 36, and you're not an Olympian like you were an Olympian. Aljamain Sterling is a little bit younger. He's absolutely massive, and he's no slouch at wrestling. And in an MMA fight, it's a little bit different than just straight wrestling rules. Aljamain Sterling proved he could wrestle with Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo, look, I don't think he looked rusty. I thought he actually looked great. It just Aljo's tricky. He's really, really big and strong. And I thought it was a great fight. I mean, I hope Henry doesn't retire. I would like to see him. I loved his idea. I love the idea. I'm going to beat Aljo. I'm going to beat Sugar, who's like got a lot of eyes and very exciting. And then I'm going to go challenge Volk. I thought that was like beautiful And if he actually did all of that, he would have been the GOAT, like straight up. Like if you're the GOAT before you retired, and then you come back and beat a champion and a GOAT, like you're the GOAT, you know? But his plans got shit up on a little bit. Aljo deserves all the respect in the world. He doesn't seem to get it. They were booing him. I mean, he's fighting in his backyard, man. Like we should be like cheer. That's our guy. We should be cheering for Aljamain Sterling. They were booing him. I don't agree with that. I think he's a fantastic champion. I mean, everybody talks all this shit, but it's like, dude, nobody can beat this guy right now. So he's the champ. Like, what do you want? You know what I mean? And I think Aljo looked great. I think Henry looked great. I think it was a super close fight. Aljo took it, man. I don't know what else to say. It sets up the fight with Sugar Sean. To be honest, that's a nightmare matchup for Sugar Sean.
Brutal. But we have seen Aljamain Sterling get chinned, where Sugar can find the chin. And
yeah.
Let's talk about O'Malley's jiu-jitsu for a minute. He's got very solid jiu-jitsu that he doesn't use because he wants to strike. But he's got some of the best jiu-jitsu under Tim Welch, who's a phenomenal jiu-jitsu guy. One of the best coaches. They've been together forever. I kind of cut you off. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to bring up O'Malley's jiu-jitsu because you said nightmare matchup, and I agree. It is a nightmare matchup for O'Malley, but I think he has a very strong chance at winning just because of his style on the feet. If he can keep it on the feet, I think O'Malley takes it all day. But if he can't keep it on the feet, then it could be a problem. But with the jiu-jitsu that he has, hopefully he can try and find a way to stand up.
Yeah, no, look, I completely agree with you. He's got every chance in the world of winning that fight, Sugar Sean. I wasn't picking. Yeah. It's just when you look at the skill sets, you know Aljamain's corner is going to be like, put him on his ass and don't let him back up, because obviously he's extremely dangerous on the feet. Like, he's a sniper. He's got the knees. He's got the uppercuts. He's got all the crazy angles. Like, on the feet, Sugar Sean pieces Aljo up all day long. Mix in the wrestling, it's going to be a problem for Sugar Sean. If Aljo gets on his back, it's going to be a long
problem
day, bro. But to your point, and I saw Sugar Sean do an interview, I think it was like Megan O'Leary or something from the other night, and she's like, "Oh, how are you going to train for that?" And he's like, look, our fight camps for the last like 6 years have been like preparing for grapplers. Like, that's like all he's like, I'm nice with the hands and the kicks, you know? It's like, I got that. I've been working on my grappling for years for these types of fights. So you're absolutely right. It's not like he's just going to get taken down and then, okay, that's it. It's like, he's going to put up a fight. He obviously had, some ground skill. Who did he fight that he was throwing up all kinds of crazy submissions?
I remember that fight, and I can't think of it.
It was like 4 or 5 fights ago, but he was like throwing stuff up, and everyone was like, "Oh shit!" Like, he actually knows jiu-jitsu. Like, he's hard to take down. It's not going to be easy.
Right.
I love that fight. We'll break that fight down later on down the road. But last night was Aljo's night. I hope people start to give our man some respect, bro. That's like, he's the guy right now.
I think he just, I think the record he just broke for most consecutive title defenses in bantamweight history, and for like one reign. Obviously, people have had more defenses, but in like separate reigns. And 3 is, I think he holds the record now with 3. So wow. He's making his run for bantamweight GOAT. I don't think he's there yet. I think he has a few more defenses, but I think he's going to go to 145 before he might be able to secure that. He's close. Don't get me wrong. I think he's approaching bantamweight GOAT. But
who do you put? There can only be like 2 or 3. Who do you give your bantamweight GOAT to?
I don't know. See, that's what I think about. I don't know. You got TJ, You got Dominic Cruz. I think Dom might still have it. Maybe TJ, but I think I lean Dominic Cruz right now still.
Yeah, it could only be Dominic, TJ, or Barao, in my opinion.
Right.
Obviously, the way TJ kind of handled Barao, you got to go with TJ. But then Dominic beat TJ, right? And Dominic reigned for years and years and years. Dominic was the first guy to hold a win over Demetrius Johnson. Like, Dom's looked not so hot in his last couple, but I do think Dom is still. I think he's still the guy. Dominic hasn't been in like a non-title fight in like, I don't know. The guy's like only fought for titles.
Well, his Cheeto fight was a non-title fight.
And there's a few sprinkled in there, but the guy's a championship.
Sorry.
No. I get you're right, but it's like the guy's a championship level
he fights
fighter.
For
like
champion.
He's only been fighting the top of the top for 10, 15 years. So it's like, I do have Dom there, but Aljo's, look, man,
he's coming.
He's a beast. I think he leaves the weight class though.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think he sticks around long enough to get that GOAT status.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But look, it's possible if he beats a couple more of these guys. Like, look, he's already beat Sandhagen. He's already beat Piotr. He's just beat Triple C. It's huge. He beat Dillashaw, even though it was weird.
Still a win.
Still a win, bro. Like, I mean, he's beat everybody. The only other guys left are his teammate. Dvalishvili's obviously not fighting him, so he's not going to fight that fight. And he would have fought Cheeto, except, Cheeto lost. So it's interesting, man.
Yeah. Yeah. If he gets through O'Malley, it's going to be interesting. Who's next?
Yeah. I can't wait to watch that fight. I can't wait to break that fight down. That's a typical, like, who did I see? Someone said it. It was Gilbert Melendez. He was breaking down last night's or whatever, Saturday night's fights. And he's like, when you have Cejudo and Aljo, they sort of balance each other out in a way, like where they kind of neutralized each other.
Yep.
Where O'Malley and Aljo, they're like basically opposites. So it's going to be like whose game plan works. And it's going to be a fun fight. I hope Aljo does his thing. I also like O'Malley. His fighting style's so much fun to watch. I think O'Malley would be a more exciting champion if he could hold the belt. But
yeah, it was Aljo's night. Aljo took over New Jersey. He did his thing. He wrestled with an Olympic gold medalist. In case you weren't aware, he's an Olympic gold medalist. He wrestled with him. He didn't get overpowered, and he won the fight. And he got another defense. He got another ruby. So it was Aljamain Sterling's night. Sean O'Malley is next. They confirmed it. I mean, he was in the cage. He has to be next. So, and that's UFC 288. New Jersey was popping. Fun fights. Some people stood up. Some people got pushed back. But that's what I got. You got anything else you want
to? The only one other thing we could just talk about for a second is, this is the first time UFC's been in New Jersey since like 2017 or something.
I think 19. I want to say 19.
So it's been a couple years. It was cool to have them in our home state. You know what I mean? We went up and we got to meet Frankie Edgar, who's an absolute legend in New Jersey's MMA
All the pictures
scene.
Coming up here. We met some people.
Frankie Edgar, man, just an absolute legend, bro. Like, he's the reason a lot of us know what MMA is. Erin Blanchfield, another local Jersey girl. She's a Henzo black belt. Like, this is the story of Jersey people in martial arts. It's like, oh, they got their Henzo black belt and they're in MMA. It's like everybody's coach got their black belt from Henzo, or somebody that got their black belt from Henzo. everybody. Like, that's the story, you know? We got to meet Justin Gaethje. I was sizing Gaethje up a little bit. I think we're the same weight class.
I got leg kicked. I got a leg kick unwillingly. But, you know,
nah, look,
things happen.
Gaethje's the man. Yeah, it's just cool to be around these fighters, man, and just like, you know, feel some of their aura, because it's like, it's crazy to think when you look at them, you're like, you're a normal guy, and then you think about it, and you're like, I've like watched you like ruin people's careers.
Yeah, you can hurt me really badly.
Violent man. Like, you're so cool, and like we're shaking hands, and it's like I watched you like bloody up people's faces, and you like love it.
They're real life gladiators, man. They're warriors. Yeah. They fight for a living, but at the end of the day, they're people. So it's really cool. I love meeting fighters, man. It'll never get old. They're just some of the best people, because of, like, you would think they'd be very mean and like not fun to be around, but in reality, they're some of the most fun people to be around and meet in the world.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because one of my homies like saw the pictures that we posted, right, with Gaethje and whatever, and he was like, "Oh man, like the guy must be such a," you know, he didn't use any words, but like I know what he meant. He's like, he must be like arrogant and cocky and like all this stuff, because he knows he could just beat anybody up. And I was like, no, man, because like you got to think about it. On the road to becoming that guy that beats everybody up, you've been humbled thousands of times. Like, Justin Gaethje has been doing his thing since he was 4 years old, man. So it's like, if you think from then till now he hasn't like taken his fair share of beatings, and you know that this path, the martial path, it really does humble you on a daily basis for people who train, you know, like that. And you know, it just, when you get all that stuff out of you, there's no reason to be a jerk.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, you get humbled when you do this for a living, and you have to go through those humblings to come out a better fighter and a better person. But yeah, meeting those people was phenomenal. Shout out to Frankie, Aaron Blanchfield, Justin Gaethje, Cutman Tate. I met Cutman Tate, Brad Tate. He's the man. I got nothing but good words for him. He took time. He stopped in the middle of chaos to take a picture. So he's the man. I met someone else, and it's not ringing
O'Malley.
Oh yeah, O'Malley. He was cool. You know, he was cool. He was cool. But that's our break. That's our recap from the weekend. There was a lot going on. I don't really have anything left. You got anything left?
I don't think so, man. It was a lot of fights. One did their thing. UFC did their thing. Oh, we did want to just give a quick shout out to the legend, Big Country, Roy Nelson. He got into, I don't even know what the organization is, but he somehow found a way to fight in some poor bastard with no gloves on in MMA. And just, I don't know how much they paid him or where they got the other guy, but somebody fought Roy Nelson Bareknuckle in MMA and got knocked out in the first round. So shout out to Big Country.
If I'm not mistaken, it was Game Bred MMA.
Was it? Is that?
I think so.
I didn't know they were doing a bare knuckle thing, but
they got something new every week.
Yeah, I tell you what, dude. I've always loved Roy Nelson. That guy's a absolute beast. Yeah, he's just a beast, man. And like, I don't know what poor bastard they got to fight him.
What poor soul took that one.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, shout out Roy Nelson. Had to shout him out. We're wrapping up here. I got nothing left. We got a lot more content coming. You know, you'll see this one. We got content coming. Let us know if you want anything. Stay tuned for the bracket part 2. We got to get the best fight of all time. We'll get it. We'll get the GOAT. And yeah, stay tuned for that. That's a big one coming. And then we'll see what happens in the world of MMA.
Stay tuned. I love it. Can't wait to see what comes next, man. Some of these cards coming up are crazy stacked, so there's no shortage of stuff to watch.
Yeah.
Stuff to talk about.
Like, comment, subscribe. As always, we just surpassed 100 subscribers, and you know, we take our wins where we can. You know, people are like, 100 subscribers. What the freaking do? We've been doing this for a few months now. We're not stopping, and you know, I'm gonna shout out our accolades where they come. I'm happy with 100 subscribers, but we're gonna keep it going.
Yeah, look, man, like everybody had 100 at one point, and how many does your show have? You know,
Yeah,
it's like,
so you know,
whatever,
had to make
man.
that announcement.
I would do this shit if nobody watched it.
We basically did do this when nobody was watching, but we were like, hey, let's just, you know, let's see if people will watch it, and you guys are watching it. So we thank you for being here, and we'll just keep talking.
Not a problem.
So we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.